2008 really was a year of two halves for WWE, as in July the company switched to PG-rated programming, one of the most divisive decisions in their history. This makes the year a fascinating one to look back on, as you can make direct comparisons between matches in the same calendar year to see which ones are better. Did PG really ruin WWE like everybody says it did? Or have we been overreacting this entire time? Let's find out. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WWE matches of 2008. Join us! Number 10, the Royal Rumble match at Royal Rumble. Most people will only remember the 2008 Royal Rumble match for one reason, but there's actually far more to it than who came out last. For starters, there was The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels entering at numbers 1 and 2 in a mirror image of how the previous Rumble had ended. Umaga and Batista both went on rampages, and then there were cameos from Roddy Piper and Jimmy Snuka, a fitting tribute seeing how the show was being held in Madison Square Garden. Finlay also became the first person to ever get disqualified from a Royal Rumble, but I don't really want to dwell on that. But then came the big one, the number 30 entrant, which just so happened to be eventual winner John Cena returning from injury many months ahead of schedule. Nobody in MSG or at home saw this one coming, and upon his shocking arrival, the much maligned Cena got a huge babyface pop. This change of heart only lasted about 5 minutes, but hey, still counts. A fantastically fun Rumble with plenty of surprises and an all-time great ending. 08 might not be top tier, but it's not far off. Number 9, the Raw Elimination Chamber match at No Way Out. John Cena took his Rumble win and, for some reason, called his shot at the pay-per-view before WrestleMania instead. His right shoulder might have healed up, but his brain was still clearly recovering. As a result of this baffling choice, the Raw brand needed to crown a new number 1 contender for Mania, which led to this Elimination Chamber match at No Way Out. The prospective challengers for the WWE Championship were JBL, Jeff Hardy, Umaga, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. A match featuring 6 men with a legit shot at the Hall of Fame was always going to be great, and this was no exception. Y2J and HBK previewed their legendary feud, which we will get to, don't you worry. Umaga ran roughshod like the Samoan bulldozer he was, and Hardy made a great start to what would be his breakout year. It would be the cerebral assassin who got the win after pinning Jeff, earning his Mania payday and closing out a thoroughly underrated classic. I mean, it was certainly better than the other chamber match that night, which featured both the Great Khali and Big Daddy V. I don't envy whoever had to wipe down what I assume were very sweaty pods. Number 8, Edge vs Jeff Hardy vs Triple H at Armageddon. Jeff Hardy had come painfully close to securing the WWE Championship on a few occasions ahead of Armageddon. He'd even been taken out of a triple threat at Survivor Series by that cheeky rascal Edge, but now he could get his revenge. Alongside former champion Triple H, Jeff dueled with his old tag team rival for the top prize in a star-studded main event. Trips was the ring general directing traffic, Jeff was the plucky babyface who everybody wanted to win, and Edge was the dastardly heel who everybody wanted to see get run over by a steamroller. The charismatic enigma overcame Edge's nasty little tricks before hitting a massive swanton bomb on both men to pin the champ and win his first world title. Not only was this a banging triple threat, but it marked the coronation of a beloved superstar as the new king of the hill. Jeff had worked so hard for so long to become world champion, and now he had done it, which was truly a sight to see. Let's just check how long he held the belt for, shall we? 42 days. That certainly is a number of days, isn't it? Number 7, Triple H vs Jeff Hardy at No Mercy. Prior to him winning the thing, Jeff's best shot at the spinner belt was at No Mercy, where he got a one-on-one shot against WWE champion Triple H. The game was supposed to be a babyface at the time, but couldn't resist making little jibes about how the Hardy Boy was one rung below him on the ladder. It was up to Jeff to prove his tormentor wrong. I mean, he didn't, but what was I saying? Although the game was technically a good guy, the fans were so behind his opponent at this point that it didn't matter one bit. Hardy kept coming within inches of winning, but the cerebral assassin showed his, cerebralness, I guess, to prevail. Brother Nero hit a swanton bomb for what he thought was going to be the 3 count, only for Triple H to reverse the cover into his own pinfall and snatch the win for himself. A single mistake had cost Jeff the title, setting the stage for one hell of a rematch down the line. Would he ever win his prize? Well, yeah, we've already talked about that match. Keep up. Number 6, Shawn Michaels vs Chris Jericho at Unforgiven. For many WWE fans who were watching at the time and who have revisited the year, 2008 was defined by two men, a wannabe rock star and a man in his 40s who still referred to himself as Sexy Boy. Tired of Shawn Michaels constantly cheating and getting away with it, Chris Jericho snapped and became a justified heel who wore suits, talked slowly, and made everybody take notice. This animosity led to a match at Unforgiven that promised to be so violent that WWE refused to sanction it. Hey, if HBK doesn't pull out one of Y2J's eyes with an ice cream scoop, then I want a refund. The match never got that crazy thanks to the aforementioned switch to PG, but it still told a great story. Michaels let his hatred for Jericho overwhelm him and started spitefully whipping Jericho with his belt, which prompted the referee to intervene and call off the match. This completely nullified the whole unsanctioned aspect, but apart from that, it was a bloody good bout. Michaels may have gotten the win, but he looked conflicted over what he had become. This rivalry was far from over. Number 5, Edge vs. The Undertaker at One Night Stand. Whilst everyone was losing their minds over Michaels and Jericho, another pair of legends were quietly having another banging feud. Actually, it wasn't that quiet, as you're about to find out. Edge and The Undertaker had been at war ever since the dead man took the Rated R Superstars World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. With Taker's powers of dark magic and Edge's powers of Vicky Guerrero, the pair went back and forth until the One Night Stand pay-per-view. The TLC main event for the vacant world title also carried the stipulation that if Taker lost, his WWE career would be over. These heavy stakes led to absolute carnage being unleashed by the pair of them as they put on a chaotic spot fest that has to be seen to be believed. The one moment I will bother to describe is the finish because it was beyond bonkers. With Taker inches away from victory, Edge pushed the ladder from underneath him, sending the gigantic Goth flying out of the ring and through an enormous stack of tables on the outside. Edge pulled down the belt, Taker was gone from WWE, and I'm pretty sure he also broke the record for most splinters received in a wrestling match. Number 4, Edge vs. The Undertaker at WrestleMania 24. The Edge and Taker rivalry that resulted in the Phenom becoming approximately 40% wood all started when Mean Mark won the SmackDown Elimination Chamber earlier in the year. Remember the really sweaty one? Good times. Taker would put his vaunted WrestleMania streak on the line against Mr. Copeland's World Heavyweight Championship in a match that ended up securing the main event slot. This turned out to be a great decision as the former Ministry of Darkness members tore the house down. It wasn't inconceivable that the champ could retain and break the streak. This was once the plan before Edge himself vetoed it, so there was real tension about the outcome of this title fight. The participants worked wonders together, the champion's underhanded tactics meshing seamlessly with the challenger's veteran stoicism. After building and building to the finish, including a very tense near fall that saw Charles Robinson run to the ring like he was in Looney Tunes, the Demon of Death Valley used Hell's Gate to submit the champion and end his second Mania in a row as the big dog in the yard. Truly a joyous moment for everyone, unless you were one of the fans that the pyro fell on. Number 3, The Undertaker vs. Edge at SummerSlam. You know when I said that The Undertaker was banished from WWE after losing at One Night Stand? Yeah, that lasted 2 months. After it was revealed that Edge had been having an affair with his and Vicky Guerrero's wedding planner, who was none other than Alicia Fox, the bride-to-be lost her mind and wanted to punish her unfaithful former flame. She did this by reinstating The Undertaker, who had presumably been chilling in his coffin since June, and booking a match between him and Edge for SummerSlam. Oh, and not just any match, this was going to be Hell in a Cell. Edge and Taker left no stone unturned inside the cell as the Canadian Lothario tried everything in his power to survive being trapped in there with the devil incarnate. Tables got broken, chairs got dented, and walls got speared through, only for Taker to enact his revenge with a tombstone, finally bringing this biblically epic rivalry to an end. Wait, actually, it's not over yet. Taker's gonna drag Edge up a ladder, chokeslam him through the ring, and then set the hole on fire. Okay, now it's over. Number 2, Shawn Michaels vs. Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24. In late 2007, Vince McMahon announced that Ric Flair's next loss would be his last, leading to a series of career-threatening bouts for the Nature Boy. Knowing that he couldn't keep this up forever, Flair laid down a challenge for WrestleMania 24 against the very best of the best, Shawn Michaels. Flair knew full well he wasn't gonna win, but he wanted to go out with one of the best matches of his WWE run, and he knew that HBK could provide that. That said, I don't think anybody expected it to be this good. The wrestling itself wasn't exactly like prime PWG or anything. I mean, Flair was 59 years old, for crying out loud. But the story of Michaels initially holding back against his hero, only for Flair to fight back with all his might, was electric. Slick Rick was so desperate not to retire, he even successfully hit a top rope move. I mean, that's rarer than him making an alimony payment on time. Ultimately, there could only be one outcome. Flair, with tears in his eyes, beckoned Michaels to hit the killing blow, which the showstopper did, but not before mouthing the immortal words, "I'm sorry, I love you." And Ric Flair would never wrestle again. Ever again. Number 1, Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels at No Mercy. After getting beaten to a bloody pulp by Shawn Michaels earlier in the night, Chris Jericho surprised everybody when he turned up in Unforgiven's main event and won the World Heavyweight Championship. For Michaels, this simply wouldn't do, and another butt-kicking, PG pal, was ordered. Jericho and Michaels met once again at No Mercy, this time in a ladder match for the belt. Whilst most bouts of this variety aim to take advantage of the hardcore stipulation, these two instead opted to go for a more psychological approach, and good gravy did it work. All the bile present in the Unforgiven match was multiplied by 1,000 as each man tried to rein in their emotions in order to outsmart the other. There were gnarly bumps too, don't get me wrong, such as the champ targeting his foe's injured arm with a ladder, but this was all about mind games. With a little help from Lance Cade, hands up if you remember that partnership, Jericho got the win and put his Shawn-shaped demons to rest, but only after a hellacious battle that capped off with an all-time great WWE saga.